Hi, this is our second Resource Leadership Recharge series, and the goal is for this to be a tiny little coffee break for your brain so that you can drop in, recharge your mental and emotional resources, and then go back to your day-to-day with more presence, more clarity, more focus, and more effectiveness. So that's what we're going for. So glad you took some time to join. I am recording this, and my goal is to trim it later and then just share the teachings on the community for anybody who wants to review them or miss the live session to be able to access them and to keep your own inputs confidential to you. Feel free if you'd like to share at any point to come off mute or to use the chat, whatever works for you. This is really designed to be something that's as low effort as it can possibly be and still have that benefit of the recharge for you. Sound okay? Awesome. All right. Welcome. So let's go ahead and settle in. I'm going to invite you to do our tuning out exercise. So first, we're going to go ahead and tune out and set aside anything that might be spinning or looping in our brain right now. So if there's something that we are focused on that is going to come back to our mind, like, oh, I have to do this, I have to call this person, I have to answer that email, I have to make sure that I finish this project, whatever task is on the mind that's likely recircling, this is the time to park that task. So I would invite you to either set a timer on your phone, write down, a note or a Post-it, have something that was carried in your brain externalized to some sort of vessel outside of your brain to free up that brain space, because we're going to use that. So go ahead and do that. And then when you're ready with that, I would invite you to just go ahead and see if you might settle into your seat. Maybe the body wants a little bit of movement, perhaps the shoulders could use a little bit of a shrug or a rotation, perhaps the neck or the head could use a little bit of movement. Just kind of seeing what the physical body that's been carrying us around all day might be asking for or might appreciate that we have not tuned into and delivered. So go ahead and see what that feels like for you. And as you do that, maybe think about the different sensations that you might notice. If, say, for example, if you turn your head to the side, what might that feel like on that side? What might that stretch feel like in your body, in your neck? Just noticing. We're not actually trying to change or fix anything. We just want to observe it. And then maybe if we were to turn the other way, kind of observing how that feels on both sides. Does it feel different from the first side? What might we notice there? And then maybe we might settle into the seat and just see what other sensations we might notice. So we're going to do a little bit of mental fitness workout here, where we're going to practice focusing our mind on one thing at a time rather than all of the things that we are constantly focusing in all of the time. So that is the mental fitness workout that really does require a lot of reps to get. And it's still, attention, 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 shiny objects. So our practice is to bring it back and build up that mental muscle. So we're going to go ahead and settle into the seat that we're in. And let's see what we can notice about the seat that we're in. So perhaps the sensation of the chair underneath us supporting us, and the sensation of our body and our weight distributed on the chair. What does that feel like? What sensations might we notice? You might choose to close your eyes or soften your gaze and just really see what you can notice about those sensations. How are you being held? And then you might turn your attention to your feet and see what surface are the feet on. What does that feel like? You might draw your attention all the way down to your toes. Just see what that feels like. What is that sensation? You might move your attention up from the toes over to the heels. What do those feel like? Are they planted? Are they resting or supporting? Are they cradled by a shoe or a sock? You might draw the attention up to the legs. What sensations might you notice in the legs? You might focus your attention next on the belly. Can you feel the belly rising and falling with your breath? And you might turn your attention to your back, from the lower back, the middle back, all the way to the upper back. What does that feel like? Is it straight or curved? Is it supported by the back of your chair? Can you feel the sensation of your clothing on the back? You might notice your neck as it holds up the weight of your head. And you might notice your head. Is it straight? Is it tilted? Is it heavy? What sensations might you feel on your face? Is there air moving? Is your hair touching the skin of your face somewhere? Might you be feeling your breath coming in and out of your nose? Might you notice the temperature of the air coming in and out of the nostrils? Does it feel cooler or warmer with the inhale or the exhale? What might you notice in your shoulders? Do they feel tight or loose? You might notice the weight of your arms. You might notice your hands, wherever they're resting. You might notice the surface that they're resting on, how that feels on your hands. How much sensation might you notice in each of your fingers? And you might just gently take your index finger and your thumb in one hand and just see if you can rub them together with such attention to detail that you can notice the texture and the ridges of your fingerprints. Just seeing how much texture you might be able to notice there. Maybe even venturing out to the fingernail and exploring that contrast in texture and temperature. You might take all of the fingers of one hand and rub them across all of the palm and all of the fingers of the opposite hand, almost like you're washing your hands gently, just rubbing them together. And see how much you can notice that texture of the skin. All of the sensations of touch, of temperature, the patches that are rougher, softer, the lines. And you might choose to set your hands down and focus on what you can hear around you. What might be the farthest sound from you that you can hear? What can you notice about that sound? And what might be the closest sound that you can hear? That sound might be my voice, or it might be your breath. And when you're ready, you might choose to open your eyes if you've closed them. And just check in with how you're feeling. How was that recharge for you? What might be different from before? We did some reps so that we have a better ability to stay focused and clear by rather than focusing on all of the things, focusing on one single thing at a time. And as the thoughts come and go back to the one single thing at a time, which is the workout. And it's challenging. So, kind of like the metaphor from last time, if I were to run a marathon without doing any training at all, how far would I get? So, the more I focus and build up my focus muscles, the more able I am to do that, so that when things happen, I can get back in, I can recharge, and then I can operate from a more resourced state, my mental and emotional resources being more charged up. So you may have noticed as you go through the day, doing all of the things, making all of the decisions, navigating all of the mental and emotional things that we have to carry and navigate, we might find our effectiveness starts kind of ebbing a little bit, which is why so many people have the coffee break in the afternoon, because there's a bit of a slump. It's going to happen naturally because we've been using up those resources. So finding a way to recharge can be really beneficial to get us over that. So I'm going to go ahead and share this tool with you in the chat so you can find your own ways of recharging. The goal here is for you to find what are some things that you can do to recharge that are short, like micro little short bits, some medium-sized bits, and then some longer ones. So what might you find? And then how might you be able to work them into your day-to-day? Anyone else? Oh, yes. PQ reps, being on the rebounder and tending to your garden. Thank you. Those are great. When I don't have a rebounder around, I'll just do a little jumping up and down or dancing. I find singing really does that. And yeah, it's effective because it's also breath work while we're singing. So it's a very long exhale. And so the music can help elevate our mood. So to your point, thank you for sharing that. Yes, music. See, affirmations, music. Yes, wonderful. Humming. Yes, absolutely. These are all very brain-friendly strategies. The jumping up and down, the moving and the shaking of the body is also really beneficial. That's also why there are a lot of ancestral practices that do this, that there's moving, there's shaking, there's singing, there's rocking, right? These things are all very, very soothing to the nervous system. They're very grounding. And so they're traditions for a reason. What are some quick 1 to 5 minute little micro breaks that you might be able to do to recharge the system? And you shared some really good ones. So singing, dancing, music, time outside, listening to the birds, putting your hands in the earth in your garden. All of those things can be really beneficial, jumping up and down on a rebounder. And then we've also talked about a little bit longer breaks. So that might be coloring. Yeah, coloring is a good one.
Yeah.
So those can be really good micro charges. And then we might set a longer break. So maybe 10 to 15 minutes for a longer charge. And then an hour to several hours to a day. What might you do then that would be recharging, that would be restorative to you? There's a really good distinction, I think, between self-soothing and self-care. So self-soothing feels really good in the moment, but it doesn't really recharge. It doesn't really transfer beyond that moment of distraction, which can be comforting, but not necessarily long-term sustainable change. And then when we go back to the grind, it doesn't really make any particular difference in our performance versus the things that are more self-sustaining. So thinking about it that way, and then I've invited you in the worksheet to also look at what are some of the things that are draining, things that you're aware are draining, whether or not you enjoy them, whether or not you do them well. If you know it's going to eat up a lot of mental and emotional resources, how might you buffer it? So, or to your terminology, how might you bookend it? So how might I do some prepping ahead of time, perhaps a bunch of PQ reps, and some recovery afterwards? Perhaps I'm really good at public speaking and I enjoy public speaking and it's great. And yet I know that it drains my resources. So I'm going to prep beforehand and then I'm going to build in some buffer time to recover afterwards and recharge. So that is my invitation to you to look at the calendar, just see where you might sneak in some recharge time in one thing in your day-to-day. So I invite you to go look at the calendar, enjoy your worksheet, and then see what you might commit to moving forward to help stay as recharged as you can. And that would be the session for today. So that was 31 minutes. Thank you all so much. I hope that was a good little boost for you to go about your day, caffeine free. The caffeine is optional. So thank you so much, my friends.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Yeah.